GM, GM. Sunday, 18th of Feb, daily levels. So, the chart I was looking at was Coinbase one, right? Three paths for Bitcoin. Yeah, here we go. So, if you watched yesterday's daily levels, you'll see this. We're talking about this move up. A bunch of fresh positions have opened. OI has been added, and longs were at risk of getting stopped out. So we had a flush down. As you see here, we pushed down, like I mentioned, that didn't know exactly when, but that it was quite likely that we would have some kind of sell off. We got that. Now it's bouncing back up. And so we're looking here at, do we follow the green path or does it go from here into blue or red? Because as the bounce happens, a lot of people will see the sweep happening here. People get stopped out, starts to move back up, and it can entice more positions to open. Essentially, people thinking, oh, that was it. That was the sweep. Let's get max long because Bitcoin's going to 60K or whatever. But bear in mind, all this happened on a weekend, and the dip was not a massive dip, right? That dip was not anything really significant. I didn't fully check on the data as to how that looked. Yeah, not much in the way of liquidations or a change of open interest, either on the global charts or on any of the charts. Yeah, so there's liquidations. Very little in the way of liquidations, relatively. A little spike, but nothing huge. Altcoin open interest barely took a hit either, and funding rate as well as Bitcoin. So zoom in on this. Yeah, they're longing the dip on alts. It seems like quite high funding on alts. Altcoin open interest since the dip been rising up. Bitcoin's actually been dropping off as traders get themselves all over the place in the weekend. So we pushed down into the lows. Not much in the way of long positions getting stopped out. And if they were getting stopped out, they must have been replaced by shorts. As you can see, open interest didn't really move. So then as price pushed up, you'll notice that open interest was declining as the shorts get squeezed out. Then the longs get taken out here. And now we're back to just drifting sideways. So I wouldn't quite be ready to get long at this point. I'd need to see a little bit more time pass with some more consolidation, which does look all right to begin with, that it's holding up at this level. We came back as well and retested one of the breakdown levels, the sweep level, and it's holding there for now. As for where it goes next, I'm just not sure if that would be enough for the shakeout to have passed so far. As you can see, total 3 is clearly in the lead, right? As Bitcoin is just going sideways, total 3 is actually moving up almost to a new breakout. And for that, if you zoom out again, this is what we were expecting though on total 3. I was saying over here, something similar, where it takes out the highs of the consolidation, then it kind of chops and chops and chops and goes higher. So that's good. It's good to see. If it grinds higher, that makes sense. I think though, with the rising OI, the rising funding, it's only a matter of time before there's a proper shakeout, a proper correction, a proper pullback. And I don't know if it's going to be this week, because if it's not, if Bitcoin doesn't, we've got the important thing coming up is the options expiry as well, which since we're above 50K, you can see the largest wall of open interest is at 50. So the closer now that we get to Friday, 23rd, so Friday coming, the closer we get to that, the more likely that we'll stay above that 50 level, I would imagine. But I do think there'll probably be an attempt to push price below that. or at least an attempt to retest it, I would guess. But we seem to be comfortably above it for now. That has held up pretty well. 50k didn't really act as resistance, like we were saying. People don't want to sell 50k necessarily. So that's all pretty good from that perspective. And so I'd say that outside of that, just outside of Bitcoin, got Ethereum, LPT, Solana, WorldCoin. Yeah, WorldCoin keeps going. Talked about WorldCoin on yesterday's trade of the day, saying that you just want to play the momentum. If it continues, it has done, it's broken out, it's at all-time highs, it's price discovery. Momentum's a powerful thing. I wouldn't take long-term, bullish positions on WorldCoin, because for you to actually buy spot or buy a dip or buy to hold for something like WorldCoin, you'd need to see, at least for me, I would need to see some consolidation at those levels, right? Several weeks. But if you're trading it, just trade it on the lower time frames. And, I think broadly, a lot of the signs are there, like shitcoins, like Cardano is one of the highest volume ones. Open interest rising, something Zen, fucking crazy. 160% open interest rising. Injective with insane funding. Like, how has it got to this point? It must be something to do with the smaller exchanges, surely. Yeah, BitMEX has gone crazy, but even if you OI weight it, it's still 0.06, which is just insane. Right. You see here, we'll take out some of those. Ignore those fucking random candles. But Injective had reset its funding all the way back, and now it's straight back up again. Even while price, this fucking stupid candle, really. Yeah, so Injective's got this nice lengthy consolidation with it seems to be bottoming out, but it's not even close to the highs yet, and we're already seeing just a huge spike of the funding to levels that it spiked out over here, yeah, once, but then any other time it's been getting to these levels, it's been at a top. And to me, that makes me a bit less, just in general, do I think there's going to be huge breakouts that hold for new legs up in the bull market for these coins? I don't know. I'd be surprised because it just seems to have flipped really quickly back to full fucking bull. It was only a week ago that everyone was fucking bearish. So to flip again so soon, I think it's because a lot of people, and this is probably like my main feeling at the moment. If you're looking at the crypto bull market, even when we talk about it in the campus, you hear me talk about it, you hear others talk about it. We all talk about bull market, right? And it is a bull market. But the market now accepts that. Up until maybe December, there was people still saying, that's not a bull market. This is just a bear market rally. It's not real. There's not going to be a Bitcoin ETF. It's going to get rejected. You wait and see. Then the ETF came. Then the market pumped even more. And now everyone, even the bears, will admit that this is probably a bull market. Maybe they don't think it goes that high, but generally the market's accepted that it's bull, which is fine. That is what you need. You do need acceptance that it's a bull market, right? Generally, for a market to keep rising. Because if people accept that it's a bull market, they won't sell their spot. And that's important. If they don't want to sell their spot, that means there's the dips, any dips you'll see will just be shakeouts generally of leverage and allow the market to actually then rise up after. But think of it this way. As soon as there's a couple of green days, right? So as soon as altcoins start to have any kind of strength, what do we get? Just right away, people smash in with leverage and the funding rates spike because they think it's a bull market, because they think that it's just free money to get long in a bull. And it's not, right? That's not how it works, especially this year. So a lot of people talk about, faster cycle, all this kind of stuff. I'm not expecting that at all. Not for alts. I think what alts are going to do is be really tricky, and probably the closest analogy you could see would be over there. If I go over here to a fresh chart, where it's just going to be really tricky for people who think that the market's going to be up only. I could see it going like a bit like it did over here, where you've got a bunch of weeks, it goes up, but it's all choppy, right? And that's like, that could be 8 or 10 or 12 weeks. I would be pretty sure that as alts get too high, they'll get sold back down. Then the dip will get bought. Then they'll get sold back down. And I think something like that could even be like the next 6 months, to where it's broadly up, right? But it's just grinding, and then some catalyst will give altcoins a reason to really move, right? And then I think 2025 is where most likely you actually see the alts move most, because a lot of people are talking about that this shorter cycle, but to me, it's a little bit of recency bias, right? The market's going up now, so they think, oh, it's got to keep going up. It will go up, but I wouldn't be surprised if it goes up in a sort of upward sloping accumulation, which you might say, well, isn't that just the same? Isn't that easy? It's not easy, because if there's like this, every time the alts break out, if they flush back, people are going to keep second guessing themselves. They're going to keep starting their trades. They're going to round trip, right? So they'll get long, it'll go up, it'll come back, they'll close a break even. It's really frustrating for people who are trying to like long every dip with leverage. But for spot buyers and spot holders, it's amazing, because you can just keep accumulating spot all year, right? If the total 3 is below 700 billion, I would just keep buying, but I will keep buying whatever alts I'm into. Right? After 700 billion, you want to have most of your bags filled, because then you've got basically almost a 2x to the new highs, slightly less, and then, of course, wherever else it can go. And that will not translate to a 2x in your alt. Your alt will probably go 5 or 10x, depending on which one you pick, right? But that's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at continued accumulation. The more rejections we have, the better. Buy the dips, but buy them on spot. Don't buy them on leverage. If you're going to leverage trade, stick to your systems that allows a defined risk. But if you're trading with leverage on your systems, it should not be, absolutely nobody should be adding it here, because you've had enough time. You had here, you had here, you had here, and you had here to take trades on your systems with leverage. Now that it's breaking out above highs, that's where smart money reduces leverage. You get long at the bottom, you close it at the top, and you go back to spot. Do not be adding leverage here, because in one day, boom, down it goes. There's one flush. Then it grinds down for a few days. Then we go back up again. That's how these bull market moves go. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about 12 days, right? 12 days of grinding up, and then an extension flushes it all in one day. Then we reaccumulate. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13 days. One day flushes all the leverage. That one day will come before you know it. So if you did just listen and follow that plan and that path all the way, just any time there's a bloody leverage day, buy some more spot, because we are going higher, right? The path is written, but you don't want to get stuck longing the tops with leverage and then getting shaken out. Yeah. So that's it, GM. Today I'll do Weekly Outlook Live, 5 p.m. UTC. See you then on the stream.